Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with part 2 with my crazy Psycho X story. So that night after I went to work, I didn't hear anything from him, nothing at all. So I was like, okay, he finally got the message and I'm in the clearance. So he will leave me alone and everything will be good. Here comes about 2 o'clock in the morning and I just hear a loud knock on my window. And I was so scared that I just flew out of my bed and I stood still like. But then I remembered that I have like a little bush outside of my window and sometimes it does knock against the glass. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it was just the bush. But then I hear it again and at this point I'm like, okay, I gotta get out of here. I'm about to run out of my room. And then all of a sudden I just hear, Shireen, it's me, I'm outside. Well, doesn't that voice sound familiar? So then I stand by the window. I have blinds and I have a curtain over my window so you can't see me. So I stand next to it and I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, can you please come outside? Please, I want to fix things. At this point, I'm like, there's nothing to fix. I have nothing to say to this boy. And whatever he says, I don't really care about, but I go outside. Around this time, I remember that his car had broke down. I don't remember exactly what happened to it, but he just didn't have a car at the moment. So I walk outside and I was like, how did you get here? And he says, oh, I ran here. You ran here? Me and this boy don't live anywhere close by. We live a good 20 to 25 minutes away by car. So I am just like, yo, you are a psycho. How would you even run all the way to my house at 2 o'clock in the morning? So he steps into the light and I see that this boy is drenched in sweat. So at this point, I'm scared. I was like, only a psycho would do something like that. I need to get back inside immediately. So I was like, I don't know what you have to say, but I'm about to go back inside. After I say that, this boy is like crying. He's like, you're the only person I had on my team. I need you in my life. You mean so much to me and all that other stuff. I'm a Cancer. So once you rub us the wrong way, we'll forgive you a couple of times, but after when we're done, we're done. There's nothing you can do or say to change our minds to forgive you again. And at this point, that's how I was feeling about this boy. I was really just done. That's my sister. I was like, well, you ruined that. I did really care about you, and those 2 years are not in vain. I learned a lot from it, but I can never be with you again. And I go back inside. I'm in my bed at this point, about to fall back asleep. I hear another knock at my window. I'm losing patience at this point. But I was just like, you know what? If I ignore it, maybe he'll just go away. He knocks a couple more times, but I still ignore it. And then this boy starts to sing Sweet Lady by Tyrese. That part just really verified that he was a psycho. At first I was like, maybe it's just me, but that right there verified that he was just really crazy. He has a couple loose screws in his head and he needs some professional help. Anyways, after he's done singing, I hear him say to himself, well, I don't know if he said it so that I could hear, but I hear him say, I'm gonna stay out here all night. Which that didn't end up happening because he left like 5 minutes after. Like I heard him get up and leave. He had done this a couple of times. I would never come outside after that. But then here comes this one very specific night. So he knocks on my window around the same time again. But this time he's trying to take off my screen. Like he's trying to take off my window screen. I'm afraid that this boy is gonna like somehow break open my glass and get into my room. So I run to my parents' room. Keep in mind, I had never told my parents that he was knocking on my window. I should have, but I was just like, I don't want to freak him out. So I didn't tell them. I run to my parents' room. I tell my dad like, oh, I never gave him a name. Don. Like, I was like, oh, Don's outside and he won't leave. My dad was like, all right. So he gets up and he goes to my window, and then he was just like, Don, is that you? This boy takes off running like he saw a ghost or something. And I was like, he thinks he's so tough and he's just afraid of the sound of my daddy's voice. Shameful. But anyways, after that, I didn't hear from him for a very long time. I want to say it was like a month and a half. Like, I just didn't hear anything from him. And I was happy about that because I was finally like getting back into my sleep routines. I don't gotta worry about a little raccoon outside. Everything was good. But then this one night, it's like 8 o'clock at night. It's early. I'm in my bed just chilling on my phone, watching videos and whatnot. And I just hear a knock on my window. And I was like, oh, here we go again. So I ignore it. But then Stupo decides that he wants to knock on my front door. Then my dad's like, who's knocking? We don't have guests this late. I was like, oh, Don is outside. He was just knocking on my window. And my dad's like, why would he do that? I was like, I don't know. He just won't leave me alone. And so my dad was like, okay, I'm going to go to the door and I'm going to get rid of him. So my dad opens the door and I could hear them because I'm standing like in the hallway, kind of, but you can't see me. And Don was like, oh, can I speak to Shireen? And my dad was like, oh no, Shireen's not here. Why are you here? And then he's like, oh, I just wanted to talk to Shireen. And my dad was like, I thought you guys were broken up. And he's like, yeah, but we've been trying to get back together. But basically my dad was like, she's not here and you need to leave. And he was like, it's gonna be your fault if Shireen doesn't talk to me. At this point, my dad is upset. Like, he is mad. Big mad. I was scared for him. So I was like, you know what? I just gotta call the cops at this point. So I'm on the phone with the cops. I'm giving them a description of him. My dad told me that he had on a white shirt. And I guess on their way to my house, they saw him walking on the sidewalk. So they basically just said, oh, we had a talk with him and we told him that he can get charged with trespassing, and he said that he's not gonna do it again. So they're talking to my dad. My dad just tells them what happened, and then after they leave, my dad is still very upset. He goes into his room and I'm just thinking like, oh, he's going into his room. So I go into my room, but then I hear him calling me to come into the kitchen. So I go into the kitchen and he's like, you see this? And it was like a box. And he was like, I was like, what is that? He was like, it's a gun. I didn't even know, first of all, I didn't even know that my dad had a gun. I think I heard him and my mom going back and forth because she didn't want one in the house, but I didn't know that he actually had one. So when I see this, like, I've never seen a gun up close. So when I see this, I freak out. And I'm like, I really hope this boy stays off of my property because it might not be so pretty next time. In Florida, we have this law called Stand Your Ground law. Basically, if somebody comes onto your property and you feel like they're intruding or they just shouldn't be there, you can shoot them. It's kind of good and it's kind of bad at the same time, but whatever, I don't make the laws. Anyways, I decided that I needed to get a restraining order for this boy. Like, it's getting way out of hand at this point, and if I don't get a restraining order, things will get ugly. So I go to the courthouse, I fill out the papers for a restraining order, then we have the court date. So we go to court, my dad comes with me, and basically she grants me the restraining order for 6 months. I guess because it was like the first time we were getting a restraining order, it wasn't that long, but I was happy with 6 months. I was like, maybe after 6 months away from me, he'll get the point and he will just leave me alone for good. So I'm happy, I feel relieved, and everything is good for 5.5 months. So at the time, he was in college and he was a criminal justice major. So I guess that around 5.5 months, he decided that he missed me and he found a loophole to the restraining order. So this boy comes to my church. Yes, to my church. And when I see him walk in, I just lose it inside. He's not supposed to be within 500 feet of me, and he sits in the row on the opposite side of the church, which is kind of close because my church isn't that big. So I get up, I leave, and I call the cops. And basically when they got there, they explained to me, which I didn't know this, they explained to me that since a church is a public place of worship, he was allowed to come there. He wasn't allowed to sit next to me, but he was allowed to come. And I was just like, you know what? Whatever. So I leave. I think I had to work after church anyway, so I just leave for work early. Here I am, like, am I just gonna have to deal with this dude forever? Like, it's just really killing me at this point. Fast forwarding, the restraining order expires and he starts blowing up my phone again. He's not coming to my house or anything, but he's blowing up my phone, like, on social media, sending me texts that don't make any sense. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get another restraining order. I'm older at this point. I know to keep all the messages that he sent me so that I can show them to the judge. And I show them to the judge, and then she, like, cause it was the same judge from the last time, and she was like, knock it off already. And then him and the judge get into it a little bit, and then she was like, you're texting her and she doesn't want you back. And then he was like, oh, what text messages? Anyways, I ended up getting the restraining order again for another 6 months. I'm gonna go ahead and end part 2 right here. Make sure that you stay tuned for part 3. It will be coming out, I wanna say Friday. You know what? It's gonna come out on Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.